All right, I think we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. Good evening to you, and thank you all for being here. I am Brianna Scott, and I serve as a trustee, and I'm also the vice chair of the Presidential Search Committee. It's wonderful to see such a good turnout this evening for our open forum, the first such forum for our students. I know other trustees would have liked to be here, and some may join on and pop in at some point in time, but we're going to get started. And we are also joined today from the executive search firm of Isaacson Miller. We have one of the representatives who will be assisting us in recruiting our 22nd president. Before we get started, I would like to share just a few thoughts with each of you. First, we thank all of you for your willingness to give your time and attention to this very important search. Your commitment to MSU and its future is readily apparent and very much appreciated. We are excited and grateful to work with you all to forge a bright green future for our university. This is an exceptional institution demanding an exceptional leader. We look forward to having an inclusive process that provides ample opportunity for input as well as clear communication as the search progresses. A search of this nature necessitates confidentiality, but we are looking forward to engaging our community in these beginning stages to hear what is important to and on the minds of the Spartan community. The task of the search committee will be to consider your feedback as we conduct a thoughtful, engaging, and collaborative search. To that end, the purpose of today's session is for us to hear from you. We will hold additional open forums, which will provide more opportunities for the trustees on the search committee to hear from our community. With that, let me turn things over to our colleague from Isaacson Miller to quickly cover the ground rules.
Thanks, Brianna. Hi, I'm Joanna Cook. I'm a managing associate with Isaacson Miller and excited to be working with you on this deeply important search. One thing that we would like to just preface some of our conversation tonight with some ground rules, as Brianna mentioned. First, individuals speaking are asked to focus their comments on 3 questions that we're thinking of. So as you think during the next 3 to 5 years, what are the priorities that the new president should set to be successful? Secondly, what are the most important things about MSU that you want to see the next president preserve? And third, what background, qualifications, and experiences should the next president possess to be successful in advancing the university mission moving forward? So in order to allow as many of you to speak as possible within the time frame that we're working with tonight, we do ask that you keep your comments to a maximum of 2 to 3 minutes. The trustees will not be responding to any of the questions. We're strictly here to take your information so that they can listen, and we want to hear from as many people as possible. We will first call on those who pre-registered. I think we have 2 folks that pre-registered and request a chance to speak, but then we will open it up to the others. Please use the raise hand function in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and that'll cue you up to speak. And then I'll call on you as those hands get raised. It's important for us to note that this is a recorded conversation so that the trustees can review it later. So that is the purpose of the recording tonight. So with that, Brianna, I think we're ready to start calling on the folks engaged. So Gabriel Weichert, I have you up as a speaker, and I see you're here.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Weichert. I am a freshman here at MSU. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Today, I'd like to address the priorities specifically about the president making the university successful and what priorities they should have. As you know, many universities are created in part to be a place for the free exchange of ideas, and Michigan State also prides itself on the principle of diversity. However, public universities around the US are known for being very political left-leaning, and we have a board that will make the final selection of the president, which has a supermajority of Democrats. The president of MSU has a unique opportunity to both set the tone and policies of the university. I'd like to note that the previous president sent out an email saying that MSU was deeply concerned by the fall of Roe v. Wade. It instituted a vaccine mandate, which violated many students' philosophical beliefs, and funded a DEI department, which led to a compulsory training, which pushed ideology, which violated many students' beliefs, an inclusive language guide, which caused some embarrassment for the university and the media. And so I would just like to ask the board to consider that a president that will promote diversity in political thought and treat all students and all faculty with respect, regardless of their political leanings, foster an environment where we can share ideas equally, and just generally show respect for various ideologies, even if they don't personally agree with them. Thank you so much for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you, Gabriel. Next up, we have Miles Yankee.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And I wanted to speak about having a president that would have a little bit of experience in the engineering background. And I know that with current world situation, there's a lot of talk about infrastructure improvements and architecture improvements around the United States. A lot of bills are being passed to make infrastructure more important and more highly regarded among universities. And I want to see a candidate that may have experience dealing with engineering background, architecture background, and infrastructure background to make Michigan State the home to even more dorms on campus, be able to sustain more students in the future, build more bridges, create a road mobility platform so autonomous vehicles and more vehicles to be passed through campus easily, and overall create more of a place where students can be engaged with nature in their classrooms. I want to see more classrooms that integrate nature completely. So in terms of having a classroom that has plants within the classroom, the students can engage with plants, be able to have more hands-on activity with nature and being able to incorporate nature in their learning. Having more plants in learning classrooms reduces stress and creates more of a positive learning environment. And I want to see more architecture improvements in the buildings that we now have. I know a lot of students are living in dorms, 3 to a dorm, when it's supposed to be max 2 to a dorm, and it's not the most sustainable method. I know that in the future, there would be plans to be building more dorms and more spaces for students to live if they choose to live on campus. I know a lot of students love being on campus, and making Michigan State overall more of a sustainable and eco-friendly campus where students can thrive and be able to have a greater impact on what they see around them and the environment they can create to learn in. Thank you very much for hosting this event. And thanks for taking all the opinions from the students.
Of course. Thanks, Miles. I don't see any of the other 3 hands raised, but we certainly have time in front of us. So please feel free to chime in. Brianna, is there anything you'd like to ask? Ask the student.
I don't necessarily have anything to say, but maybe just asking if the students that are on feel that this venue, doing this virtually, is appropriate and makes it more accessible to the students than if we were to have something physically on campus. And then also whether they have an opinion as to why there are only 5 of them on. So those would be kind of like my questions or comments. And I don't know if anyone's comfortable. I'm just, very surprised by only 5 of them being on. And so kudos to those 5 of you that wish to be engaged, but this is such an important venture that we're in. And I feel like it's such an important position to student success in the coming years that I would hope that there's more interest. And so I'm not sure if this number of participants today is actually emblematic of the interest in engaging in these listening sessions, or if it's just because of finals being next week. I don't know. So if anyone is wanting to say anything in comment to my inquiry, please feel free. If not, I guess we can close this out. I don't know if we wanted to wait a little bit longer to see if other students would join, because it is like only 10 minutes after. I'm just not sure, what we'd like to do at this point. Do you have any suggestions, either Stefan or Joanna?
I don't know that we have that many more students registered to join us tonight. Stefan?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the total number was 12 or 13 if I'm recalling correctly. So we can certainly give it another minute, but then I think that may be it for the evening.
Okay, well, and for those students that are on, if for some reason, you have any additional things that maybe you just did not want to say publicly, just continue to hear me out before we conclude tonight, and we'll give you information on how you can submit any questions or suggestions that you have to us via email. So at this time, I guess I would thank all 5 of you for being here today, and to remind you that we have scheduled 2 other open forums. The dates and times can be found on the Presidential Search website. If there is anyone who was unable to speak or would prefer to do so in writing, as I mentioned just previously, please submit your written responses to the 3 questions through our dedicated feedback form. That will be shared in the chat, so please look there for that information. My fellow trustees and I would like to just thank you once again, as we value your input, and we will take your feedback into consideration as the process moves forward. Thank you all again for joining us today, and we look forward to our continued collaboration in the near future. Have a good evening.